Think back to your first day of school. The strange classroom, the new faces, the teacher at the front. Now imagine stripping all of that away. No paper, no pens, no alphabet. Imagine a school born at the dawn of civilization itself. Today, we travel back 5,000 years to the sun-baked plains of Mesopotamia to uncover the story of the very first schools in human history. They were invented by a civilization called Sumer, and their creation was a direct result of one of the most important inventions of all time, the art of writing.
It all started in the ancient Sumerian city of Uruk. Archaeologists there unearthed over 1,000 small clay tablets. They weren't epic poems or royal decrees. Most were simple economic records. But among them, they found something fascinating: lists of words meant to be memorized. These were the world's first textbooks. Even 3,000 years BC, Sumerian scribes were already thinking about education. By the middle of the 3rd millennium, a network of schools had likely spread across the land of Sumer. From the ancient city of Shuruppak, the home of the Sumerian Noah, thousands of school texts from around 2500 BC have been discovered. But the golden age of Sumerian education arrived in the second half of that millennium. Tens of thousands of tablets from this era have been found, and we know that hundreds of thousands more still lie buried, waiting. These tablets show us a society buzzing with bureaucracy. The Sumerians needed thousands of professional scribes: junior scribes, senior scribes, royal scribes, temple scribes. To fill these positions, you needed schools. Lots of them.
So, what were these ancient schools actually like? Luckily for us, Sumerian teachers and students left behind their notebooks, hundreds of practice tablets that show us every stage of their education. Thanks to these, we know more about Sumerian schools than any other educational system in the ancient world. Initially, the school's purpose was simple: train scribes for the palace and the temple. But as the schools grew, they became the intellectual heart of Sumerian culture. They were the world's first universities, producing scholars who were experts in theology, botany, zoology, geography, and mathematics. They were also the first literary centers. Here, students didn't just copy the classics of the past, they created new works of literature. A graduate from a Sumerian school wasn't just a clerk. They could be a professor, a scientist, or a poet. And who paid for all this? At first, the schools were likely attached to temples, but over time, they became secular institutions. The teacher's salary was most likely paid directly by the students' families.
This brings us to a crucial point. Education in Sumer was not for everyone. It was a privilege reserved for the rich and powerful. A German Assyriologist, Nikolaus Schneider, proved this in 1946. He analyzed the names of about 500 scribes mentioned on tablets from around 2000 BC. He found that their fathers were governors, ambassadors, temple administrators, military officers, and high-tax officials. In other words, the urban elite. And interestingly, not a single female scribe's name was found. Sumerian schools, it seems, were for boys only. At the head of the school was the Ummiyah, the expert, also called the school father. The students were called school sons. The school father's main assistant was the big brother. His job was to prepare the model tablets for students to copy, check their work, and listen to them recite their lessons. Other staff included a drawing master, a Sumerian language teacher, and a man called the whip holder, who was in charge of discipline. It seems that physical punishment was a key part of the curriculum.
What did these students actually learn? The curriculum was divided into two main tracks. The first was scientific and technical, but not science for the sake of discovery. It was all designed to teach the complexities of cuneiform writing. Teachers created massive lists of words, organized by category. There were long lists of trees and reeds, lists of all known animals, insects and birds, lists of countries, cities, and villages, lists of stones and minerals. In creating these textbooks, they inadvertently became the world's first botanists, zoologists, and geographers. They also created mathematical tables and collections of problems with solutions, showing a sophisticated understanding of mathematics. As the Akkadian language began to replace Sumerian, the teachers even created the first known dictionaries in history, translating Sumerian words into Akkadian. The second track was literary. Students would meticulously copy and memorize great works of Sumerian literature from the second half of the 3rd millennium BC. These were epic myths about gods and heroes, hymns to kings, sad laments for fallen cities, and wise proverbs. A student's life was not easy. The school day was long, from sunrise to sunset. We don't know if they had holidays. The training lasted for years, from early childhood to young adulthood. Upon arrival in the morning, a student would study the tablet he had prepared the day before. Then, the big brother would prepare a new tablet for him to copy. While the teachers might have given lectures to explain the complex texts, these were never written down. They are lost to us forever. Success depended heavily on rote memorization and discipline. For every mistake, the whip holder was ready.
So we know who went to school, who the teachers were, and what they learned. We've even found the ruins of what might be the classrooms themselves. Rooms with baked brick benches for 1, 2, or 4 students. We have built a picture of a strict, demanding system that forged the intellectual elite of the world's first great civilization. But one question remains. What did the students think about it all? Amazingly, we have an answer. A 4,000-year-old document written by a student himself has been pieced together. It tells a vivid story of his daily life, his fears, and his relationship with his teachers. It is the first personal account of school life in human history. And we will tell his story in the next episode.